Hey guys, we are standing here outside of Universal Studios in Florida, and HHN is just around the corner. I guess depending on when you're watching this, it could already be happening, but that doesn't change the fact that there's a ton of stuff going on inside the parks, tons of updates. It's almost like they're adding stuff almost every single day getting ready for the event.
And that got us thinking, Halloween Horror Nights is an amazing event, but there are some years where we've had more fun than others.
Yeah, those early years, those were a little rough.
So what we're gonna do in today's video is we're gonna share 5 tips with you that have made the way that we experience HHN so much better.
Yeah, way better. And then while we're at it, we're here, we might as well show you some of those updates, so come on, let's get inside the parks. I can't believe we're like a month out from the event and we still know nothing. Like, we've got 4 house announcements.
Yeah.
None of the scare zones have been announced. They've got props and stuff up in them like we were talking about, but we know nothing about the event.
The first scare zone that you come to is here in Hollywood Boulevard, and there are some props up here that have like some faux brick on them, but that's literally all we know about the scare zone. There is one of the props that says Nettlewood Cemetery, so I guess we're gonna get like a graveyard scene. Maybe there'll be like some ghosts or something like that.
It'd be funny if they were just messing with us and this is just, this ends up being like a carnival or something. They just threw this stuff up here, this stuff they have in the back.
But we'll go ahead and get to the first tip that we have for you guys, and this first tip is actually like a 2-part tip.
Yeah, we're gonna be those people. Like, part A is in the beginning and then part B is at the end of the video. It's for a reason, it'll make sense when it gets here, but yeah, we're gonna be those people for this video.
So the first tip, part A, the first part of this tip, is that you need to make sure that you get to HHN early. Halloween Horror Nights is an extremely popular event, and so you wanna make sure that you get here early enough because there's going to be a huge line at the front gate. The event officially opens at 6:30 p.m. and people start lining up hours before that, especially if you haven't picked up your tickets yet. You wanna do that as early as possible. But our biggest tip as far as getting here early to make the most out of HHN is to take advantage of Stay and Scream.
There's a few nuances with Stay and Scream that we should probably go over. First off, what is it? And it's basically just like a holding area. So if you have access to the parks, so if you have daytime access to the parks, you are able to get into Stay and Scream with your HHN ticket. And basically they just hold you there until the event starts.
Right.
Sort of. Because it's not the official start of the event, because you get into the houses a little bit before anybody else does. So like before they open the front gate, they actually start letting the people in Stay and Scream go back to houses, so they get to, it's a great way to get more done because you have more time.
Yeah.
And the parks aren't nearly as busy when they first let you out.
Yeah, it's almost like early park admission for Halloween Horror Nights.
Stay and Scream typically opens up about 4 o'clock. I would say that's a good estimate. We don't go quite that early. We tend to get over there about 4:30.
Yeah.
But you do have to be in there before 5 o'clock because at 5 o'clock they start sweeping the parks and they sort of usher you out. And I've heard, we've never experienced it, but if you are not in a Stay and Scream area, even if you have a ticket, you get ushered out of the park and then you're gonna be at the back of that long line Anna was talking about, which sounds terrible.
Yeah, I think the official recommendation is to get in Stay and Scream by 4:30 at the latest.
Yeah,
so that's probably what our official word on that would be.
We push the limit.
And if you don't have a daytime ticket to Universal, they do sell what's called a Scream Early ticket so that you can get access to the Stay and Scream area, and you can purchase that on Universal's website for only $35. We're also gonna do a more in-depth video on some of the tips that we're talking about today, like Stay and Scream in particular. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you get that notification when it comes out. We are over here in Central Park right now, which is where part of the Simpsons Stay and Scream area was last year. And Stay and Scream is absolutely fantastic. It's probably the best time-saving tip that we have for Halloween Horror Nights. But to get the most out of Stay and Scream, you do have to be a little bit strategic. And that brings us to our next tip, which is to make sure that you're prepared or have a game plan. And your game plan doesn't have to be anything elaborate or anything like that. But inside of each Stay and Scream area, they typically have at least 2 houses that you can queue up for. So you need to be aware of which area you're gonna go to and then which house you're gonna get in line for as well.
As you can probably tell in this area, it's a lot less defined. There's not like a sign saying what it is, so we're even more clueless. Here, there's just some stanchions and
some metal,
like some black tarp stuff. That's all that's back here. But with Stay and Scream, there is some strategy involved as well. For example, last year, if we came back here and we were in line early enough, we could typically get 3 houses out of the way before general admission even got in. So that's 3 houses that you've got done. Typically there are 10 houses at the event before the event actually even starts. I mean, it started for you because you were in Stay and Scream, but before it starts for the people that are waiting outside.
Once we actually know what all of the houses are at this year's event, you also need to prioritize what houses you want to go through, because especially if you don't have Express, there's a decent chance that you're not going to get through all the houses in one night.
Yeah, it can just be difficult. And that's why we stress the Stay and Scream thing, because that gives you a much better chance.
Yes.
But we just made it into Springfield, and I have noticed that Clancy's car and himself are gone.
The policeman.
Yeah, the police car, and all the fencing is gone. There's normally railing that separates the
outdoor seating for the restaurants.
Yeah, and it's all gone. We want to be oh man, that means that the Roman chainsaw horde is coming back, because it's normally in this area, in case you've never been to the event. Anna would probably just prefer it not come back.
Probably.
It's probably just for Stay and Scream. If we're going to be honest, it's probably just for Stay and Scream. But this is something that we do like to see, because it means there's a chance for the chainsaws to come back, and I love watching Anna get chased by a chainsaw.
So it's appropriate that we're talking about this tip as the sun is setting. Like we mentioned earlier, Halloween Horror Nights officially starts at 6:30 at night, and it's currently a little bit after 8 p.m. And as you can see, the sun has set, but it's not dark outside, and it won't be dark until closer to 9 o'clock. So you have a good 2.5 hours at Halloween Horror Nights when the sun is still out. And the houses at HHN are really, really dark. So especially in those first couple hours of the event, when you go from standing in line in the daylight into that really dark house, your eyes aren't adjusted, and it's really hard to see anything. We've even been in some houses that are so dark that you can't see anything, and you're feeling for the person in front of you to even know where to go. So this next tip is to wear your sunglasses while you're walking around and it's still daylight outside. It's not perfect, but it does help your eyes adjust a little bit so you're not completely blind when you walk into the houses.
Also, sunglasses just look cool. Actually, these are way too small for my head because they're yours, and I have a big head. We're not even gonna go back to the Men in Black area, because all that's back there for Anna is heartbreak and defeat, and there's really no updates back there.
Yeah.
There will be 3 houses in that location. At least that's what we would expect in years past, but there's really nothing going on. There may be some stuff getting put up inside of the old Fear Factor Stadium, but other than that, nothing going on at the back of the park.
More metal stanchions with black tarps over at the entrance of the London area. But our next tip is something that you have to prepare before you come to the event, or think about beforehand, and that is what shoes you're wearing. You want to make sure that you have comfy shoes on, because you're gonna walk a ton. We've literally had days where we come to the park all day and go to HHN at night where we've hit 40,000 steps in 24 hours. I don't care if you're walking on the thickest memory foam in the entire world, your feet are gonna hurt. But you can set yourself up for success before you even get to the event by wearing shoes that you know aren't gonna hurt your feet. They're not gonna rub blisters on your heels. You're not gonna be that girl carrying your sandals on the way out of the park. Just make sure that you think before you put on your shoes that night.
I have missed nighttime in the parks. We just don't get to spend much time in the parks when it's dark, but that's all about to change with HHN starting.
We can't wait.
As we head on into the San Francisco area, this is another area that's disappointing, lackluster. There's just not much out there. We're gonna finish up with a zone that's had a lot of stuff going on in it, and that's over there in New York. But right here, just not much at all. As far as the shoes go, I do have one more thing to add. We've made the mistake of being oh, HHN's coming up, I probably need to buy a new pair of shoes. And yeah, don't do that. We've had some miserable nights just because we were dumb enough to wear a brand new pair of shoes to the event and,
Test them out first.
and walk like 15 miles because you do walk an absolute ton. Like, it's an understatement to say that you walk a lot.
Yes.
Like, it's hard to tell you how much you actually walk. But yeah, make sure whatever shoes you bring, I'm not saying it has to be tennis shoes, whatever. I know we have some people that are like, oh, I love wearing my flip-flops. If that's what you're comfortable in, make sure you wear those, but make sure you're comfortable because it's a brutal night. Would you look at that, Anna? Metal stanchions. Oh, it's got some lights. Metal stanchions with lights. And the moon. Lights, moon. Over here we can see the best part of the Fast and Furious ride, which is the exit, and more stanchions. More stanchions. As lackluster as that scare zone is, there are 2 scare zones left, and one of them is even more so because they have absolutely nothing in it, and that's like Production Central in that area right at the front of the park.
They don't even have metal.
Yeah, they haven't put anything up in that, not even metal. Like it's bare bones at this point, huh? But where we're gonna finish up is actually in the New York area, which is where they've had a ton of stuff. There is a lot going on over there, so let's get over there and give you that last tip as well. For me, this is an early contender for my favorite scare zone. Yeah. We know nothing about any of them. And I can already say that because there's a lot of pumpkins, and I love pumpkins. This one looks pretty cool, and it's starting to be a little polarizing. Like, you're starting to get an idea because they've even already got, like, victims out. Like, there's tarps and things over. What we're guessing are people.
It's what it looks like.
It's what it looks like. We'll have to find out. But it looks like it's parade themed or whatever, like a small county parade. It looks awesome.
I am so excited about the scare zone because it just feels Halloween-ish.
Yeah, Halloween-y.
Like, this is HHN 31, so like it's so appropriate for this to be like highly Halloween themed. Like there's the corn and the pumpkins, and I can't wait to find out what this is gonna be. Our last tip, before we get to part 2 of our very first tip, don't forget you have to stay here for that as well, is to consider multi-night tickets. Universal finally released their multi-night tickets for Halloween Horror Nights, which are basically like a season ticket for the event, and they can save you so much money.
They decided to kick us out and turn the lights off, so it got a little more spooky in the scare zone. But we're standing out in front of the tribute store, which is closing, I think, tomorrow now.
Yes.
To make way for the Halloween Horror Nights tribute store, which we're so excited about. I can't wait to see what they do with this.
Yeah.
This has been one of our favorite tribute stores that they've ever put together. And it's looking like they may just sort of keep like the same sort of theme. I'm not sure what they'll do with any of it.
But they make it like spooky.
But at the end of like this tribute store, there's a lot of hints that this may be around to stay, just in a scary kind of way.
Like we said, with those multi-night tickets, they can save you so much money, especially the Rush of Fear. I think that's probably the best money saver.
If you're coming in September, because it's only for September, but it gets you in every night of September?
The first 17 nights. I think it cuts off on September 25th this year. Yeah, so if you were coming in September, it can save you a ton of money because if you purchase 2 single night tickets, it's already more expensive than the Rush of Fear. And then they also have the Frequent Fear Plus, and then the Ultimate, which add like certain days of the week that you can get in.
Yeah, basically all the passes get you in on Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. And then the Frequent Fear Plus gets you in on, it adds Fridays, and then the Ultimate just gets you in every night of the event. So if you're an HHN junkie like us, that's a pretty good option.
Yes, but all of the multi-night tickets do get you in for opening weekend. So if you're coming like opening weekend and then like a Wednesday and a Thursday, you could still do the Frequent Fear Pass. So make sure you keep that in mind too.
So now back to Tip 1, Part B. And it makes a lot of sense. You'll understand why we put it here now, because it's late. The parks are closing. And that's the second part of it. Stay until close and make them kick you out. Don't actually don't actually make them kick you out. What I mean is stay until the end, because the event starts clearing out about 1 o'clock, and a lot of nights the event runs until like 2 to 2:30. And so the houses get empty. Like, you can do a lot of the houses in that last hour and a half. Yeah. And if you're trying to do everything, like all 10 houses, you're gonna have to stay till close anyways.
Yes.
And you're going to want to, because there's so much fun stuff to do at the event. There's all kinds of shows. There's like the decorations are incredible.
There's food.
Yeah, how did I forget food? No, there's food. All the scare zones are incredible. You're going to want to stay late, but if you've only got like a couple of nights, definitely close it out. And speaking of closing out the parks, that's exactly what we're doing tonight. The Cinematic Celebration is actually going on over here, and we're in the New York area. So a little bonus tip that's not HHN related for you people who stuck around to the very end of the video. New York, a buddy showed us, is one of the best places to see the fireworks. You can't really see the shows.
No, but the fireworks are beautiful.
They're right on top of you. Like, a lot of them shoot from the buildings here in New York.
Yes.
And it is absolutely gorgeous. But with that, we're going to end today's video. Leave us a comment in the comment section and let us know. If you have any questions about HHN, we're probably going to answer them in that detailed guide because we do have that coming up. But leave us a comment down there so we can answer it in that video.
If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. You can hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell notification so you get an alert every time we post a new video.
Thanks for watching.